Hello and welcome to Shedcast, news and discussion from across the tabletop. So today on Shedcast we've got a bit of a treat, something I've been looking forward to for a while. Don't know if you remember in one of our previous episodes, a zombie special, we discussed the Project Z game from Warlord Games, which at the time wasn't out yet and you could pre-order it. However, now it is out, and today's episode is Project Z unboxing. It's great stuff. Okay, so what is Project Z? First off, it is the zombie miniatures game from Warlord Games. It's a game, a generic zombie survival tabletop skirmish game where you have one or two players. Yes, it can be played solo, which is pretty cool. And you have a bunch of survivors, biker gang, or in the expansion's special ops team, which looks awesome with some of the weaponry that they get, rocket launchers and things like that. And you have your team on your own or against an opponent, and you are looking to gather and scavenge things from the post-apocalyptic wasteland of some great American city. And whilst you're doing that, the undead are there trying to get their teeth into your juicy flesh and brains. It's pretty cool. I've been waiting for this, and what I'll do now is I've got a little unboxing section that will show you, and I'll take you through just some of the components that you get in the box, and then we'll have a bit of a chat about the rules afterwards, which by the way you can download for free from the Warlord Games website, link below. Okay, so here we go. So here's the Project Z box. As you can see, nice little Warlord Games logo in the corner there. The skirmish wargaming in a post-apocalyptic Earth. Now, obviously you get a nice set of contents. You've got your rules manual, which we'll go over later. You've got the game sequence sheets, sort of your cheat sheets. There are two of these, one for each player, if you have two players. And you have your survivor's guide for dummies, which is a nice touch. And in here, this is effectively your scenario booklet, and that gives you the layouts of the missions, the special rules, all those kinds of things. You get your standard Warlord Games, advert. So they're your rules bits. The rulebook itself isn't massive. It's nicely laid out, very clear, good interior design, and some nice photos illustrating some of the points. You've got your melee rules, etc., etc. So we'll go over that a little bit shortly. Now, you've got your token pop-outs, various types of tokens. You've got your ruler on the side, grit tokens, ammo tokens. Yep, you've even got a little ruler. That's quite good there. Handy in case you don't have a tape measure. But yes, we'll go over some of these token types in a little bit. But you can see a nice selection of bullets. You've got loot markers, zombie entry points, wound tokens, etc. You've also got a set of dice. It's got special dice, this game. These have got particular faces on the sides, and we'll talk about that in a bit. You also have some nice, very nice cards, a few different types. You've got Survivor Z cards, which have special conditions on them. You have your character cards here, and that shows you you've got some survivors, and you've got the different scores. You've got movement, resilience, melee, and shooting, and then you've got the number of people in that group, and any special skills. You can see survivors have a run, whereas the gang, biker and companion have some rather different skills and abilities. So there's a little set of those that help you pick your forces. And then you've got combat cards. Now these are an extra add-on in the additional rules section. The additional rules section being all of 2 pages in the rulebook. This is really a fast, fun game. It's designed to be quick. You can see the different faces on the dice relate to the combat cards, so they give you extra bonuses in combat situations. So now we've got 4 nice little sprues, all interlocking, which is quite cool when they come in the box, as you can see, one at a time. Now, oh, hello, let's move this around. Let's get this box out of the way. So these are your female zombies. You can see some really twisted poses and some very interesting handbags and hands reaching out in all kind of gnarled and twisted ways. We've got various heads with fashionable or less fashionable hairstyles, which is pretty cool. We have got then the male zombies. Here are the male zombies in again more twisted poses. We've got bodies without limbs. We've got a fat zombie, all kinds. We then have our male survivors, who have a large variety of weapons, from baseball bat, you may notice a cricket bat there, and various assault rifles and high-powered weaponry, which promises to be lots of fun. And then you've got your biker gang, who have obviously a bike and lots of shotguns and brutal looking weapons. I think there's an axe in there, there are various knives, and you've got your long bases for your bikes. So you've got some extra bases in there just in case you need them, or you want to do special loot markers, and that's really what you get in the box. So that looks pretty straightforward, pretty simple, and I think you'd agree, a nice bunch of kit to get in Project Z. Okay, so that's my little unboxing there. You can see all the nice things that you get in the box. If you want to see any more, we've got the link for the Warlord Games website below. Just head down there and check it out. There's some really interesting things. They've brought out a couple of expansions. So in the box you get male survivors, but you can also buy a pack of female survivors. And there is also, as I said earlier on, a special ops team who are all kitted out with armor, helmets, rifles, rocket launchers, etc., which looks like it could wreak some real havoc on the tabletop. So head over to the website and check out some of the things. I'd suggest you have a look at Mayhem in the Mall. That looks really cool. You can make some really good scenes of fighting off zombies, like in Dawn of the Dead, in the archetypal mall with zombies coming out of all different stores and things. There's a lot of flavour and a lot of character to this game. Okay, so I won't go into all the rules right now, but you can head down to the link below where you can download the PDF to have a look through. The combat resolution is resolved using a number of the dice that we showed you earlier on. Let me just get those out of the box for you so you can see them again. They are pretty straightforward. They have different faces. You have a hit and defense and a surge symbol on those. As you can see, you get a nice lot of them in there. So you get 10 dice of a special kind, which is pretty cool. Your character will have a melee ranking, which represents the number of dice you would roll, and then opponents would have a defense number, which is the number of dice they roll. The number of hits you get on your dice minus the number of defense they get on their dice indicates whether you've hit someone. And then there's a wound system around flesh wounds, serious wounds, or slain. So it's designed to be quick and fast and easy to learn, and I think they're going to be adding more things on later. The rulebook itself, which I have here, is a grand total of, let's have a look, 12 pages including the credits on the back. So it's short, sharp, and meant to be a fun, quick game. Melee rules and shooting rules follow as you would expect, with things like line of sight. Causing an obstacle reduces the number of dice that you roll, etc., etc. Each character can move a certain number of inches, which you can use their nice little ruler for, which I have somewhere in the box, so I'll get it out now. Or you can use a standard tape measure. The additional rules let's show you here. Additional rules. This gives you extra things like grit tokens, where it can help you to do things quicker, remove reload tokens if you've fired automatic weapons, that kind of thing. Combat cards, which I talked about earlier on, which are an additional thing that you don't really want to try in the initial game. Good to just get the flow of the dice, the movement, the obstacle rules. One cool thing they have in the appendix is about scenery and terrain, how obstacles work and how walls work, because they work slightly differently. And another section called King of the Hill, which they try to encourage cinematic use of obstacles and have rules for jumping onto them. So as your last survivor is being surrounded by zombies, he may clamber up on top of the car he's backed up against, so he can make a last ditch attempt to take out those brainless walkers. There's some good stuff. I'm not gonna go over the top. It's simple, but it's supposed to be simple, and that's the whole point. So that's really cool. You've got your, as I pointed out earlier on, you've got your cheat sheets. So game sequence, and on the back this has all your weapons details. Can't really see that very well, but this tells you how much damage they do, and if they're short range, long range, those kinds of things, and also for melee, how much damage they do. So it's all there. It's all very easy, very simple. The last thing to talk about is the Survivor's Guide for Dummies, which is the scenario booklet. And this has got several interesting ones in there: Town Square, High Street Shootout, and each of these details how you set up your scenery, where your loot tokens go, and where the zombie spawn points are on the board. Now, as I said earlier on, zombies work independently, and there's a zombie phase where if basically they move towards the nearest survivor on the board. So I'm sure that with some careful maneuvering and jumping over obstacles and those kinds of things, you can try and outmaneuver your opponent to get to the loot counters and get out as quick as you can. Obviously, certain scenarios call for different victory conditions, so there's lots of stuff in there which is really good, and there's all the special traits that each of your characters have are in the back of that. So as we saw, male survivors have the run skill special trait, and run means that they can take an additional move in the shooting phase, which is handy. So there's lots in there to do, lots to get your teeth into, literally. But what you also have in the back, which I think is worth pointing out, is Scenario 8, Nowhere to Run, and this is a solo scenario. So this is done on a 3x3 board. You have a target zone and a start zone. You have zombie spawn points in the middle, and the idea is that you've got to get into the other end of the board. And it's just there so you can get a hang of the rules. You can play it straight out of you can get with a bit of glue, obviously. Play it out of the box, start using some figures, seeing how it works, and having fun already. So that's good. I think it's really interesting to have a solo section in there. I think that's a really good addition, because often arranging to sort out these things, unless you've got a regular club, can be a bit tricky. So good to get a grip of the rules on your own first before you go out and tackle those dangerous biker gangs or special ops teams. You need to know what you're doing before you take on the serious bad guys, because as we all know, in the zombie genre, the real baddies aren't the zombies. They're the other tough sons of bitches that you've got to fight out there in the world who have survived the apocalypse. That's the worst thing. Okay, so I think I haven't had a chance to play this yet, but I have been waiting for this for a while. So I'm going to be putting this together, giving it a go, and coming back to you guys with a bit of a post-play appraisal of the game. But from what I can see so far, Project Z is a fairly straightforward, fun-looking game. It's got some nice scenarios which add that extra complexity in, some special traits, some additional rules, and extra cards, which you can layer in as you start to learn the rules, which I think is a good way to manage a game. I'm yet to see whether it's maybe a little too simple, because obviously within all of us there's a master tactician waiting to prove that they can take on any battle scenario. But let's see how we go with Project Z. Now, I'm so excited for this that I've already started making my own post-apocalyptic terrain and obstacles. I just wanted to share with you some of the stuff that I've been working on, just so I can show to you that I actually do some of these things, as well as actually just sit here and talk about them. I thought I'd show you just a couple of things very quickly of what I've done and what I'm working on, with some scenery for Project Z that hopefully you'll see in a kind of post-combat appraisal of the game. Okay, so what I've been working on is some vehicles, some ruined vehicles that have been done up by survivors to fend off zombies, or, as I said earlier on, those other tough sons of bitches that try to come and get you. So this started life as a toy bus, which I've hacked apart, removed the windows, chopped them out sufficiently, added a little bit of metal grill on the front, sprayed it, painted it, and there you go, zombie survivor bus. And what I have here is a large selection of toys that I went out at the weekend from the local entertainer store and got my hands on some size appropriate, I'm hoping, vehicles, all of the same line, to use, and hopefully these will make some really good rough terrain for Project Z. So that's just a little taste of some of the scenery that I'm going to be creating. I'm going to be putting the figures together, painting them up, and hopefully producing a really nice view for you of what the game looks like and how it plays. So if I were you, I would subscribe now to this channel so you don't miss out on our follow-up on Project Z and all the other great things we're going to have on Shedcast. Hopefully we'll see you in our next episode. Until then, we'll see you in the shed.